I don't think there's a teacher anywhere that doesn't aspire to simplify a complicated topic into an easier to understand version of execution. In the world of music, it's not that music is that complicated, it's just that initial barrier is a little hard to climb over. And when I've been working with students long enough that they're starting to improvise, I usually start with minor pentatonic type things, like the sort of Chuck Berry, Keith Richards school of guitar soloing. And the main reason I start with that is because it's kind of brutal and rhythmic rather than being melodic. If you were going to start someone out with like the Ramblin' Man guitar solo as an example of improvisation, that would be pretty tough. It's a complicated solo melodically speaking. That Chuck Berry sound of just sort of thwacking at the strings, you know. It's basically made up of like rhythmic ideas, and rhythmic motifs aren't as demanding as harmonic motifs. And I don't think that Chuck Berry was necessarily trying to do anything more than create rhythmic excitement in the songs when he was soloing that way, and pretty much everybody that followed in his footsteps. Now, it certainly got amplified and developed as it went along, but I think as an original idea, if Chuck Berry is the originator of that kind of chopping pentatonic. And I'll confess something, I was gonna use Johnny B. Goode as an example, but then as I thought about it, I realized he's got kind of like a, you know, some major thirds in there. So I don't want to dwell on that. But I think that everybody knows everybody that's been playing guitar knows what I mean when I say a Chuck Berry type solo. That sort of, you know, stabbing at the guitar with your pick hand and flailing with your fingers, you know, to bend up that G string and then hit a double stop on the B and the E. And sometimes it even continues to like a type of sound. It's fairly easy to grasp, and it has a lot of aggression and a lot of power in it. The other side of that coin is the major pentatonic scale. And typically, I don't think I've ever considered that as having the same kind of options, you know, where you can come into it with all this gravitas and energy. And then I realized as I was in a lesson over the weekend that the When Cries Mary guitar solo is kind of the Johnny B. Goode of major pentatonic. If you're not familiar with it, it's basically in the key of F. It's like... It does have one little side road into some minor pentatonic, and I might have even played that lick wrong. No? Yeah, that's it. But the thing I want to talk about is what he plays over all that, you know, that F progression, where it goes from F to E flat, B flat, and then... And when he plays that G in the bass, he's kind of like just making it bluesy. I don't really think that he's thinking of it as a, you know, suddenly there's a G major in there and that the F is temporarily minor. But I don't want this to be a long video. This is just kind of a quick bite, right? That opening lick is just based over your standard first position F chord that would be played, you know, 3, 2, 1, 1 from the D string down to the the fourth string down to the first string. But you're up here at the 13th fret doing it. So it's 15, 14, 13, 13. That basic shape there. Well, this little kind of choppy hammer on to the 6th there. So let me get out of the way. So what I'm doing is I'm barring at the 13th fret and hammering on to the hammering onto the 15th fret of the second string. And that kind of sound, sort of a staple of that Hendrix vibe, and it's a staple of the solo. The most important thing about it is that you can be rhythmic with the idea, right? So he's coming in with that little, you could call it a rhythmic motif on the tonic. Just da da da. I mean, who hasn't done a little drumming on their steering wheel or tapping on their legs? Rhythmic improvisation is something that I think is inherently in all human beings, and if you're working on playing the guitar and getting some coordination, it should be easy to put some of that into it. So these little type things, and this is the other shape. Let me get my face out of the way because this camera will focus on my face. What I'm doing there is I'm fretting the 12th fret of the G string and the 13th fret of the B string, and then I'm hammering on to the 14th fret of the G string. That type of sound there, and I'm playing it as a double stop, right? So. So that little next move, it does bring in one note that's not in the major pentatonic scale. He puts a B flat in there. So the fourth is generally not in a pentatonic scale, a major pentatonic scale. So that little lick, it's a great little portable move, right? So he just slides down. He goes up and repeats that same kind of phrase again. That's the longest phrase. Then very simple. For the next part, it's when he goes up to the G chord in the solo progression, comes up here to the 15th fret. And that's really like in the same family of phrases that he played over the F. It's, hammering from the 15th to the 17th on the B string while he's playing the 15th fret of the high E string ringing on top. Same thing he does here. That stuff. Okay, pretty easy to deal with. I'll tell you what, I'll put some tabs down in the description. Then he comes to this B flat where he plays just a B flat sus or something like that. To tell you the truth, I haven't heard this song in a while, and you can't find it on YouTube anywhere that's him playing it. That's from the studio recording, and Lord only knows where that CD is in my life. Then finally, the last lick of the solo, or well, in that series. So he goes G, B flat, to a C sharp major, I guess, but he plays a blues lick over it. Love that lick. So this is the only minor pentatonic in it. He's bending up the 12th fret of the B string to the unison note, the 9th fret of the high E string, and that's a real Chuck Berry lick right there. Just bending the 11th fret of the G, and then the 9th fret of the B and the E. And then one of my favorite things that Hendrix does, and maybe anytime some blues guy does it, is that kind of big jump right there from 7 down to minor third. It's a 5th, but it just sounds great. And then finally wraps it up with a little major pentatonic goodness. He does put that sus back in it. And ends up in like a first inversion F over A. So I'm gonna kind of leave it there. I just wanted to talk about this as a little nugget of information that an intermediate beginner level guitar player looking for some major pentatonic opportunities. A lot of groundwork has been laid in minor pentatonic. Eric Johnson's almost entire solo vocabulary consists of massive amounts of flurries of pentatonic notes. You have the Chuck Berry sort of chopping rhythmic thing. I think that style of soloing is such, walks that borderline of rhythm guitar and lead guitar that it tends to make for really good accompaniment and alternate parts or color parts and supporting a more simple chord progression. Okay, I've probably gone on too long. My last video, it was way too long. I'm gonna make it, that's it. I might even have an edit in this one. Okay, thank you. I'll catch you later.